Hello, my name is Shawn and I'm going to dance for you, following the Venezuelan theme. Yeah. Or I can talk. I mean, I'm happy to do either and take a
Dance.
straw poll here. Okay, so who is Baha'u'llah? Is he a man? Is he a bird? Is he a Superman? Is he a teacher? Is he a prophet? Is he God on earth? Who is he? A lot of information you can find out for yourself about the data of who he was. But briefly, he was born in 1870, so hence the 200th year, in Persia, Iran, and passed at the age of 75 in 1892 in Palestine, or present-day Israel. What was his life? What did he do in that 75 years? He was born with a silver spoon in his mouth, from an aristocratic family. His father was a minister to one of the biggest empires of the land, Persia, and he was offered the position to be a minister and replace his father's role. So he had the whole world in front of him. You couldn't have asked for anything more. Wealth, possession, land, everything. So what did he do? He said, no, thank you. So he followed the teachings of the Bab, who at that time in Persia came to the world to prepare the world for the coming of that important day. So Baha'u'llah followed the teachings of the Bab. And like so many things, that when something comes new, so many situations when a new thing happens in a society, there's going to be lots of opposition, lots of anger, fight, dissension. He was put into prison in the most treacherous, the most foul prison that you can imagine. In the condition that there was just in a room with so many people, dark, for 4 months. I think staying in that room for 1 or 2 days is a challenge. So that's how his life started, from being a prisoner, and it continued through exile from Iran to Iraq, from Iraq to Turkey, and he ended up in Palestine or Israel, in a penal colony, which is where all the worst type of human beings were sent to, in a place called Akka. And he passed away there. Okay? So you might say, oh, it's no big deal. Lots of people have difficult lives and lots of people have challenges. So Nelson Mandela was in prison for many years. You know, these things happen. Life is tough. So he was in prison for 40 years. What did he do in that 40 years? You know, did he think about himself? Did he try to fight the system? Did he try to run away? What did he do? He wrote, as Tony, for some of you who are here, was talking about, he wrote to the kings of the land. He wrote to the Pope. He wrote to Queen Victoria. He wrote to Napoleon. He wrote to Tsar of Russia. He wrote 15,000 pieces of documents. Can you just imagine it? I mean, and that actually is about 40 volumes of books, as well as the 15,000 includes letters to individuals, questions that people had, and so he wrote a lot. You know, you can't even imagine it. I cannot imagine it. Okay, so you might say, well, okay, fine. He had nothing better to do, so he just wrote. He was bored, and he just wrote. So what did he write about? He wrote about what the world needs. in one word. Prescription for living. A new world order. That's what he wrote. Okay. You might say, okay, so what? Anybody can write, anybody could have visions of grandeur, anybody could talk about anything they like. What's going to happen? Who's going to listen to him? Is anything going to come out of all of this? Or is it just going to end up with words? Fantastic manuscripts. You know, there have been people in the history who've written so much about anything. So what happened with all the things that he wrote? First and foremost, his works have been translated to 200 languages. And what he wrote created an environment, created a revolution in the world, as a result of which people all over the world connected to what he had to say. Okay? So they said, yeah, this makes sense. In fact, this morning we've had quite a few people who said, well, this is interesting. I've never heard of this. This is making sense. Yeah, I agree with this. And they started following him. And his message spread and spread and spread. To this present day, that there are people all over the world who get their inspirations, their way of life, from a Persian prisoner. So this is what he has done. So if you want to judge somebody's work, you look at the results. If you want to look at somebody's achievement, if you want to measure somebody's success, achievement, you look at what they have done. So now, for those of you who haven't come across Baha'u'llah before, you can see what he has done. And personally, for me, all of the inspiration I have in life is from him. All the hope I have is from him, for humanity. And the need for his teachings are at its greatest point in our history right now. Anybody who looks at the world as it is recognizes things are not going right. And nobody is able to fix it, it seems. And that's the interesting thing, that we have got all the wealth, all the resources, all the technology, all the brain, and all the clever people, and more importantly, lots of good intentions. Lots of good intentions. But has the condition of the world in the last 100 years changed? Has it become better? Have we learned something about the big major wars that we've had? You know, is the situation in Africa the same as has it changed? Is the poverty still there or not? Is the strife still there or not? Are people fighting with each other, yes or no? I think it has become a lot worse. Simply because that all these good intentions and all these activities are not bringing the answer. There is no one who can say that there is a magic wand, or somebody can say, okay, the world needs this, and we need to do that to have a better environment, be safe, don't fight with each other, don't have 2 or 3 people who at the touch of a button could actually destroy all of us and be having fun about it, and it's newsworthy item. So his message was about unity. And he said that until and unless the unity of mankind is established, you cannot do anything. Mankind's peace and security is not attainable unless its unity is firmly established. Okay, that sounds easy enough. Unity sounds easy enough. But you show me how many husband and wives are united. Then talk about how many families are united, how many extended families are united. So it's the most challenging thing. But there is no other way. There is really no other way. And unless, when we talk about unity, unless we look at it as as a real dimension, as a real concept, not just a lip service, I love my neighbor, I like my friend and this. Unless we feel the pain of humanity, that if something is happening, is affecting all of us, we're not going to change our behavior. And he said, in fact, the only thing that would change the behavior is what? He said, the only thing that will change the behavior of mankind is his words. I.e., his words will change the hearts. So I'm sitting here in front of you. I am just like a man, like everybody else, like all of us are just, how do I know whether the God exists? How do I know about the other world? How do I know that what Baha'u'llah says was true? I don't. But I think when the heart is touched, you will actually realize that there is more to life than what we have. And when you recognize that, I think there's a posture of humility that comes with it. Especially now that we think we have developed everything, we have sent the man to the moon and atomic and all this stuff. So we have become more and more arrogant. And as we have developed materially, we have ignored the spiritual side. And so this is the bit that is missing. Once the spiritual side is there, the balance is there. So that was his message. And if it touches your heart, then that's great. So Baha'is are working towards a new world order. And that new world order is not going to happen by just few of us. It's going to require more and more work. So we are looking for people to help us. We're not looking for people to become Baha'is. Whether they become Baha'is or not is their business. And that comes to touching the heart. But we are looking for people to help us to actually say to humanity, hey, there is this option, there is this model sitting here, look at it, evaluate it, and see whether it makes sense to you. And obviously he talked about so many aspects. He talked about how our lives should be conducted, how we should respect our parents, how we should, bring up children. That if you can only afford to teach and educate one of your children, the priority is with the girl, not with the boy. Why? Because the girl is going to be the future mother and the future educator. So there are practical stuff that he talked about. He talked about the world requiring a universal language. That every one of us on this planet, if there is a universal language as well as our own, so keeping the culture or keeping the diversity, keeping the unity within diversity. So when you have that, just imagine if right now in the world there was one language that everybody could speak. Would you feel alien? Would you feel afraid by seeing people from different nationalities? Would you feel strange if you go to other countries? So he brought a lot of practical things that the world is crying out for right now. And it's here and right now. It's affecting a lot of people all over the world, people from African, Asian, Eskimo, whatever color, are connecting to his message. And right now, all over the world are celebrating his 200th anniversary. And that's what binds the people together. There is a common cause that we can all work towards. And more importantly, to give us hope. For me, the hope is very important. Because the minute hope goes away, and without that, I think you would be dead. That's all.